your logos, the colors that you use, and the messaging that you're constantly putting out there, it's all about creating and building that recognition and trust. Apple, it's known for being super clean, minimal, really savvy in terms of its design. And guess what, guys? If I'm a small business, what are the things that I could do from a branding perspective to constantly be a part of my customer's life without them really necessarily realizing it? How do you know as a brand if the way that you want to influence your customers is actually working? Well, it comes down to the type of people that are coming through your door. Welcome to the Disruptionist, where the status quo has no seat at the table. I'm Jess Singh, and this is your invitation to join the movement of game-changing, boundary-pushing strategies that will take your marketing, branding, and customer journey to the next level. Let's get disruptive. Have you ever wondered just how much brands are impacting you in your day-to-day life? Like, how does it influence the decisions that you're making without you really noticing? That's what today's episode's all about. So let's dive right in and start with something that was really sort of topical in my life. Recently, I went to New York and I looked around me in Times Square, and all of a sudden I was faced with all sorts of brands in my face. And I thought to myself for a second, why on earth are these brands spending what would be millions of dollars to be on a Times Square billboard? Here's the answer. The fact is that these billboards are in super high traffic areas. So when I think of Times Square, I think of it as quite a prestigious place. By having that sort of connection to prestige, then it's also building my trust in that brand. Geez, if they can afford to be there, then they must be somebody. They must be somebody worth, thinking about or liking or looking into. And then the other thing is that this sort of constant visibility, it helps keeps brands totally top of mind. So if I'm out there, the reason why a billboard is going to make a massive difference to me is it hopefully is in a timely place and location that will trigger a thought of, oh, I'm heading in this direction. Maybe I should stop and pick up, a coffee from Starbucks or grab some Guzman and Gomez. Essentially, it's just about being in areas where they're super visible to keep you front of mind. When it comes to the next aspect, we talk about consistency and branding quite a lot. It's a common theme and there's a reason for it. It's because your logos, the colors that you use, and the messaging that you're constantly putting out there, it's all about creating and building that recognition and trust. So if I was to show you a t-shirt, a plain white t-shirt, it's very sporty, and then I put it next to another t-shirt with the Nike swoosh, you're going to immediately be thinking about what that brand means to you. And maybe you would less consider the shirt with no branding on it and more likely to purchase the Nike shirt because of basically what that brand means to you and the fact that you instantly recognize who it was and perhaps the quality that it would entail. Some of the other aspects that a lot of brands, really invest in is their physical branding. So I want to think about Apple. Apple is out there. It's known for being super clean, minimal, like really savvy in terms of its design. And guess what, guys? When it comes to the branding in their store, do you agree that when you walk into their store, not only is the tech cool, clean, minimalistic, but so is their store? Like, think about the layout, the fact that it's not cluttered. It's just simple. It's exactly what you need and nothing that you don't. So that goes back to the importance of the physical branding and the impact that has. So when I talk about physical branding, I'll be very direct. It's talking about the store design. It's talking about how you display your products. And it's also the packaging that you use to influence how your consumers are going to feel about you. The other thing that we want to talk about is the emotional branding side of things. The fact is that when we talk about brands like Coca-Cola, every time I think about an ad, there was some kind of emotional connection that they're trying to sort of create with me. And I often think of the Christmas ads with Coke, where it's all about nostalgia and it's all about a particular feeling that they're trying to evoke. This kind of emotional branding, it's basically what leads to long-term customer loyalty. If you take it a little bit further, if I was to then look at Coke versus Pepsi, and one of the reasons why I'm bringing up these brands is I remember being in Times Square and seeing a huge billboard for Pepsi. And coincidentally, as I was reading all the trending things that were happening in the world of marketing and branding and advertising, that was the one time in history that Pepsi actually was out earning Coke. And it was quite a significant thing for me to go, so there is something to this visibility and investing in these millions and millions and millions of dollars in advertising that does help being first and foremost in the minds of customers. So it wasn't necessarily a coincidence, but it's something that's really stuck with me. So when you look at Coke versus Pepsi and their branding battles, it's not just about the specific taste. I actually know that there's research out there where if you were to truly judge those drinks just purely based on taste in a blind test, often than not, it's Pepsi that comes out as the winner, even though if we look at historically the record of sales, Coke has always outperformed. So again, what this is telling us is that it wasn't about taste alone here, but the competition with Coke and Pepsi becomes about Coke being traditional and nostalgic and just a part of the real amazing memories that you're trying to make. Whereas Pepsi, on the other hand, as a brand, I think it tries to aim to be a little bit more trendy, is just trying to do things a little bit differently. And in the world of cola flavored drink, Coke is one that traditionally wins because it just has a better connection as a brand with its customers. Behind the billboard. Okay, so how do they influence us? Okay, awesome. So there are actually some more subtle branding techniques that we might not even be aware of. So start thinking about the colors, sounds, smells, and actually the design of a brand and the familiarity that it's trying to evoke with its customers. I mean, we've spoken about Apple and, the store design and how it mimics a lot of its actual technology. There's one that comes to mind, and not necessarily in the best of circumstances. So I have a particular aversion to Subway and the smell of their bread. There's just something about it that I can smell it from a mile off. For me, it ends up making me not want to go in, but I remember, I recognize that brand and its product just by its smell. So these sort of things are constantly impacting us. Hi guys, I'm just jumping in quickly to stop you there. I just wanted to remind you, if you're a small business owner or you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to gain some clarity or strategies around your marketing, branding, the way in which you can work with customers, you can contact me by checking out the information below. I'm here to support you to start making some really positive disruptions to the industry that you work in and for you and your business. Right back to the episode. The other thing is, when you think about the design of a product, I think about Macca's. I can go to any Macca's in the world and the way in which that burger is created, how it looks, how it smells, how it tastes, it's exactly the same in Australia as it would be in Paris, as it would be in America. So there's a lot of interesting little techniques, and that's all about brand as well. There's actually another element that goes beyond the billboards now as well when it comes to branding. It's not just something that, you're driving past. It's not just something that, flashes at you when you're sitting down watching telly. There's actually the extension of branding into the digital space. So they're able to go out there away from your living room, when you're watching a movie, and they're actually able to influence you as you, browse the internet, as you read the news, and they're able to extend their influence with you through social media and all sorts of other ways. So that's actually another thing that we've sort of seen, that it's there, it's become a part of our daily life, and they have the ability to influence us no matter what we're doing in this day and age. So what does this mean for me if I'm a small business? What are the things that I could do from a branding perspective to constantly be a part of my, customer's life without them really necessarily realizing it? Well, it's things like focusing on consistent messaging and visuals across the platform. So I can't reiterate this enough. If somebody has landed on your website and then you're trying to perhaps do some retargeting content with them on social media, they should potentially be able to recognize that, oh, that's that brand that I was checking out the other day, simply because of the way that you speak or the images that you use. And it could even just be something as simple as the colors that you have as well. The other thing is that you need to constantly be working on the authenticity and the emotional connection that you are trying to build with your customers. And that doesn't require big budgets like your Coca-Colas going and investing in billboards. This is honestly just you being real and being consistent in who you are and what you stand for and what you're saying that you're able to promise to those particular customers. It's just words. So whether it's through your blogs, whether it's through the value-added content that you're providing on the social media channels, just be authentic and actually try and build a connection with that person that you're trying to communicate through that piece of content. I guess if we've come to this point at the end of this episode, what you should be walking away with is understanding that branding is not just something that serves a brand in terms of its marketing, but it's also something that has a big ability to impact how we as customers think and feel about things on a daily basis. So the key takeaway coming to the end of this episode is that branding really does have the power to shape how we think and feel about brands daily. And if that's the case, what is it that you're doing? What feeling is your brand giving off? How is it making your customers feel? It is something that you really need to become mindful about and truly get out there, test it, have conversations and see what reaction and feedback you get. So how do you know as a brand if the way that you want to influence your customers or your ideal target is actually working? Well, it comes down to the type of people that are coming through your door. So have a think about it. If the quality of your customer is more and more aligned to your vision, mission, and values, you know that your branding is working because you're starting to eliminate the people that aren't right for you and that you're not right for either. So that's a really great sort of way to measure if your branding is influencing in ways that you want. So basically, we've come to the end of this episode, and the main takeaway is the fact that whether you know it or not, brands have the ability to influence our customers and their daily lives in ways that they don't even know. So the true test here is to go back and have a chat with your teams, with people within your organization and go, what impression or influence are we leaving on our customers? Do we like it? And if not, what do we need to do to change it? See you in the next episode, everyone. Thanks for joining me on The Disruptionists. If this episode sparked new ideas or challenged your thinking, I'd love your support with a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And don't forget to subscribe to your favorite platform to catch every